Hey, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, Pajama Gramma with Pajama Gramma's Chronic Painkillers Prescription. What the heck is a painkiller prescription? Well, it is a tip, trick, strategy, technique, something that's worked for me over the last 30, and not just me and a whole lot of other people that I've discovered or uncovered or found, and I didn't invent it, I just found it and uncovered it and discovered it and put it to work in my life over the last 37 years dealing with chronic illnesses and chronic pain. Like you, if you're listening to this, I am a chronic pain, I don't want to say sufferer because I haven't suffered for a long time. I was a chronic pain sufferer and I did suffer for years, but at one point I decided I wasn't going to suffer anymore and I was going to figure it out for myself. And I began treating myself as my own greatest science experiment. And being an engineer and a nerd, it became fun and exciting for me to test different things on myself and figure out what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And along the way, I realized that that's what all of us need to do. All of us need to figure out and take control of our health, our situation, our chronic illness or our chronic pain, because no one else is going to figure it out for us. And I remember when I had that realization, it was like, oh my gosh, but it was scary at the time because I was young and there was no information available. It was before the internet. But it was also very, very empowering because I realized that I could make changes. I could figure it out. I was smart enough. I was actually smart enough and I was young to figure out what was going on with me, even though the doctors and the experts and the specialists and all the people I thought were going to save me and that I thought were supposed to save me and fix me couldn't figure it out. So some of the things I figured out over the years, I am sharing as these painkillers prescriptions. So one of my favorite things, and one of the things I created along my journey, my chronic illness and chronic pain journey, is called flip books. So today's prescription I call flip book. Now I know there's a lot of different things that people call flip books. I actually Googled it because I wanted to write a book and create flip books because this secret tool, and this one I did create this tool. Even though flip books are actually like cartoon books or things for kids, I created my own version of what I call a flip book. And I'm going to show you one. This is one of my flip books. This is probably, I don't know, the 7th or 8th. It could be even a different iteration of that. But a flip book is just a book. It's one of these books that's on a flip book. I like these. Got it at Target. But I like it because it's got like this little clip thing so they don't go flying loose. For a lot of times I use like the 3x5 ring binders where they're bound together somehow because I like to put it on cards. But what I did is as I was learning and as I was studying, when I heard something that made sense to me or something that I wanted to think more deeply about or to be reminded of, I would write it in this book. And so the book would start out blank. Each of my books started out blank. And then as I heard things that I could relate to or wanted to think more about or that were important to me or that maybe I didn't quite understand but I knew I needed to ponder more so that I could understand to help me grow as a person, I would write it down in this flip book. And every day I carry the flip book around with me and I would read every one of the pages. So I have all kinds of things in here like this. First one is I'm an infinite being. Well, what the heck does that mean? I'm an infinite being. Do I understand that? Do I believe that? Well, I had to think about it. I didn't know. Then I would write words that were important to me, like enough. And then around that word, I would write thoughts and feelings that came up as I thought about them during the day with respect to that word or that thought or that saying or whatever. And I would fill whole books with this. I started out doing letters of the alphabet, and then I began adding words and phrases that were important to me. And then, as you can see, I would write fame and play. I would write all kinds of thoughts and things that came up during the day as I pondered and thought about that particular word or saying or phrase. And I created these little flip books for myself. And sometimes I would spend an hour, I would walk down to the beach from my business, it's called the Dike, and I would sit down there on a bench or down on the beach in the sand or on a tree, and I would read through my flip book really quickly. And as I would read the words, all of the thoughts and all of the things that I was pondering about that particular thought or saying came to mind. And this little tool, I think, has been responsible for the vast majority of my personal development, my personal growth, and my moving toward what I want to be and how I want to create my life and what I want my life to look like and be like now. And it's very, very, very different than it was even, say, 5 years ago. Actually, even 2 years ago. My life is now very different than it was even 2 years ago. But this is something that anybody can do. Anybody can grab some 3x5 cards, and they can be bound or not bound, and write on them a word that's important to you, a word that speaks to you. Write the word flipbook on. What does a flipbook mean to you? You know, things like tap into you and everything changes. What that means to me is different than what that means to you. It doesn't matter what it means to me. It matters what it means to you. So you could ask yourself during the day, you know, a couple times during the day, just think about tap into you and everything changes. What does that mean? What does tapping into me mean? What does tapping into me and everything changes mean? And then just jot down thoughts and feelings about that and think about that and see how that impacts your chronic pain or your chronic illness. It revolutionized and changed my chronic illness and my experiences with chronic pain. I still have chronic pain sometimes. I woke up this morning and I felt like crapola. I was around a lot of people yesterday, and several of them were sick and had colds. Now, I just drank an emergency. Yep, emergency. And I'm drinking my green drink, and I'm having coffee, and I'm going about my routine, and I'm saying, I feel awesome because I'm not getting a cold. I don't have time for a cold this week. I don't have time for a cold any week, but especially this week. So my ability to control how I feel, what I think, what I do has dramatically been impacted by having these little flip books. And what I like about them is I can carry it everywhere. I throw it in my purse. I take it with me. I take it with me when I travel. And as the pages start to wear out, I create another one. And so that's why I say this is about my 7th or 8th one. I can usually get several months or a year out of one. And then it starts to get, this one's starting to get pretty beat up. You can see I taped in this first page because it already fell out. But whatever speaks to you is what you put in there. And I mean, mine's definitely got lots of writing in it, so you can see that it speaks to me a lot. And what I like about it is I can go back and I can always add more to another page as it comes up. Because now I'm always thinking about positive things. I'm always moving my life and my thinking in the direction I want it to go. So that is today's prescription. Go out, start yourself a flip book, and see how that impacts your chronic illness and your chronic pain. See you soon with another Painkillers prescription. Bye.